Inasmuch as I may be very far from enjoying the trappings of power, I can categorically confirm that the same individuals that advised President William Samoei Ruto to impeach the Murima priest Rigathi Gachagua are exactly the same individuals currently misadvising President William Samoei Ruto to arrest Rigathi Gachagua. Listen, look at how President William Samoei Ruto built a political monster from a man who seemed to be an entity and also a persona non grata from the Mount Kenya region. Because President William Samoei Ruto has already built Rigathi Gachagua politically to an extent that his few months in the opposition, he has made the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga look like Nuru Okanga, and he's also made President William Samoei Ruto look like Calvin's Okoth, aka Gaucho. He is today talk of town because he exposed President William Samoei Ruto's plans to arrest him and poison him. And if at all Rigathi's words are not mere allegations, then I kid you not, the Murima crusader seems to have planted a mole in President William Samoei Ruto's administration. And question remains, who's this mole exposing all the plans by President William Samoei Ruto and his entire government to the Murima crusader? However, despite Rigathi Gachagua having been impeached, we shouldn't in any way forget that he, having worked as the second in command, I strongly believe good people don't stop being loyal to him just because he was impeached. And maybe, who knows, they could be the ones who decide to snitch and feed the Murima crusader with all this information that he's been previously exposing to Kenyans. Apparently, we shouldn't forget that even when President William Samoei Ruto parted ways with the son of Jomo, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, he still had access to all the government plannings for him. And I see the same script repeating once again. However, we must be alive, and I'd wish that President William Samoei Ruto should also be alive to the cognizant fact that his ship is sinking and burning from inside. And from the look of things, he seems to be very egocentric and arrogant to an extent that he fails to notice all this, because the same way President William Samoei Ruto saw himself or sees himself as a genius by buying any man or any leader or any person of influence so that he can pay his allegiance to him. I kid you not, is exactly the same way that those working with him after buying them, they are also likely to set a price so that they can be bought with the sinister motive of snitching information to the former deputy president. In simple terms, we the Swahilis usually say pwagu kupata pwaguzi. However, the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, having worked as a DO back in the days, I strongly believe most of the people who he previously worked with during the Moi era, I kid you not, and I can tell you without any fear of equivocation that a vast majority of those individuals he previously worked with, as of the time of this broadcast, a vast majority of them are serving in different jurisdictions and capacities in high-ranking positions of President William Samoei Ruto's government. And that forces me beg the question, who knows, they could be the individuals to whom are snitching information to the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. Apparently, politics being a game of numbers and calculations, who again knows, maybe some very high-ranking officials and security personnel in President William Samoei Ruto's government could be the same individuals who decided to place a double chance to be partly in President William Samoei Ruto's government, specifically for the paycheck, while their souls are out in Rigathi's camp, because this is exactly the same script that Kenyans witnessed towards the 2022 general election. Because if you remember pretty well, President William Samoei Ruto's lead blogger, Dennis Itumbi, would categorically explain to Kenyans of the purported declassified news and intel that was happening in President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta's government, and yet his master, President William Samoei Ruto, was out of government. So maybe the top security personnel decided to place a double chance by being in President William Samoei Ruto's government, while again snitching information to the Murima Crusader, so that if at all Rigathi is going to succeed in unseating President William Samoei Ruto, then automatically they are likely to be infiltrated into the next government. And if at all Rigathi is not going to succeed, then automatically they're going to continue serving in President William Samoei Ruto's government. And in both ways, it actually still is a win-win situation for them. But again, question remains, and you can tell me in the comment section, whom do you think is snitching all this intel to the Murima Crusader? And as I come to the penultimate part of this episode, that has just been my opinion. If by any chance you do have a contrary opinion to mine, you can as well just feel free to drop them in the comment section and I'll give them a right of reply. And by any chance, if you have been watching my videos and you have not subscribed, you can as well just consider hitting on the subscribe button. Thank you, and may God bless you.